So, hi everybody. We are going to do a little unnecessary commentary tonight. We are going to watch the 2014 Godzilla, um, and we're gonna talk about it because there's some stuff to talk about in that movie. Dovetailing that right into Godzilla King of the Monsters next week. So, gonna be a little kaiju-licious for the next couple of weeks here every Sunday night. So, if you happen to have a copy of Godzilla 2014 and you want to watch along, um, I'm going to say give a countdown, and then we're going to hit play, and you can hit play too. There will be a time code up there, so you can sync up if you're coming to this late or you know, what have you. And there'll be pictures that pretty much tell in 5-minute increments what the hell is going on, just because we have to have something on the screen to satisfy folks. So let's set this sucker up, shall we? We'll put that there. I think that'll work, and we'll put this here. Okay, we gotta do this. And then we gotta do this. And I forgot to do that. So you're gonna have to wait a second. So, there's a lot going on in this movie. Um, and I mean a lot. And wow, unnecessary commentary. I almost fucked that up by putting the actual movie up there because it's in the public domain theater window. Let's get that the fuck off of there. There we go. Hi everyone. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna count down, and then when I hit play, you hit play on your Blu-ray or streaming service or what have you, and we will watch Godzilla. So, okay, just making sure everything's all right. Without my glasses on, this is always a crapshoot. Starting the movie in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, we are live. Make sure we don't have any audio issues before we get into this. Yes, this is 2014 Gareth Edwards Godzilla, which there's issues with, of course. No movie is without sin, as a wise man once said. And even a Godzilla freak like me isn't going to sit here and tell you this movie's perfect. But I think it's a lot better. It gets shit on a lot, and I get it. I just don't understand the vitriol. This is an odd opening. I will say that. Like, it's weird. All the redacted stuff points at Monarch and a shared universe and stuff. But you had no idea if that, like, don't make your first movie as if the sequels are a foregone conclusion. Because you set up for sequels that don't come out. 9 times out of 10. Look at all the shit in Tron Legacy. I would put this up with. It's a Godzilla movie, so I'm biased. But it's certainly up there with Pacific Rim. Although Pacific Rim's more fun, I will say that. This movie is weird because I think Gareth Edwards was trying to make a movie tonally the same as the original Godzilla. He did, and that's reading the room wrong. People now, or even in 2014, did not want a serious disaster Godzilla movie. In a world of Michael Bay's, you are not trying to make a movie as Ishiro Honda. It's just not going to work. And although, you know, the '98 Godzilla was like that, and it was a fucking catastrophe, but not because it was a fun stab at a kaiju movie, because it was a fucking terrible movie. This movie's not terrible. It's got issues. And it's not incredibly well written. And I mean, Yes, I mean Godzilla I don't think shows up to the 1 hour mark, and he's not in this very much. Godzilla wasn't in a lot of the Showa movies very much either, and I don't think the problem is really with how little Godzilla's in this movie because the Mutos are on in a lot, so there's actually a lot of kaiju in this movie. The problem in this movie is really down to casting choices and writing, and um, we'll get into it as things go on, but Bryan Cranston is gives 150% in every scene he's in, and he's a dynamo. Ken Watanabe isn't supposed to be that. He's supposed to be a reserved scientist, and so is oh god, I'm blanking on her name. The hereditary chick, not the hereditary chick. God damn it, she's the one in King of the Monsters. Regardless, this movie, after a certain point, is being carried by Kick-Ass, who is not very dynamic in this. Let's just put that out there. He's as bland as fucking milk toast. And a lot of it is the Mutos, which are not exactly the most exciting design monsters. They're actually very bland themselves. And they're also trying to set up Monarch as an organization that we have no knowledge about. Like everybody's following the website like I was. I might have to put my glasses on to read chat tonight. Well, and their brother and sister in. We'll get to Kick Ass and Scarlet Witch later when they show up because they're married in this, and then their brother and sister in Avengers. This is a pretty weak premise too. Is that they discovered there's one surviving Muto. But the weird thing is, like, there's a weird conceit with the Mutos and when they wake up, as opposed to when they, like this one wakes up, the other one wakes up, then they build the containment field for the one, and this one just chills. It's a weird. This is very weird. And I still love King of the Monsters. We'll get to King of the Monsters next week. Because King of the Monsters is just dumb fun. King of the Monsters has more in line with Pacific Rim than this movie. So they're in a kaiju skeleton. Which is okay. Here we go again, though. Okay, say this kaiju was radioactive and died. Were these mutos um like were they laying in the body, the corpse, or was it like a cancer or a parasitic infestation? And if that's the case, why don't they? There's no way of them doing that like now. Their reproduction is really weird. Plus, also, a muto shows up in King of the Monsters inexplicably. Also, the Muto Trail goes right to the sea. Janjira, Japan. This, no lie, this movie has a pacing problem too. Also, this kid doesn't step on any of these fucking Lego pieces. Also, Bryan Cranston's wig has to be addressed. Yes, that is the actress from The Shape of Water. Also, again, pacing. They're setting up, hey, nuclear family unit. Oh, that wig is terrible. Uh, we're gonna get to the lack of monsters in this movie too, but that's Gareth Edwards. If you ever saw Monsters, you couldn't have expected much more from this movie. He worked so hard. He bought it from the dollar store. Come on. Boy, and this was back when they thought they knew what an American Maniac looked like. Well, yeah, you're not thinking of giant kaiju bug. Okay, they mentioned the stupid sign that he made. So why is he surprised that it's his birthday when the sign was a happy birthday sign? Mm. It's just so dumb. They're trying desperately to establish character before they murder one of them. Yeah, Gareth Edwards, he's an okay filmmaker. He's not the next coming of Ridley Scott. He's good at doing a lot with what little he has. Also, I'm not 100% sure if the Muto like burrows under here, I guess, and then goes dormant. It's really weird. I haven't seen this in a while. We're gonna have to watch. Also, what are the odds that his wife is the one that has to go down there? Thanks for the exposition. Also, you have to remember that this was in the peak of Breaking Bad, so Bryan Cranston being in this movie was actually like everybody was freaking out. Like non-Godzilla fans were like, "Oh wow, I can't wait to see Godzilla." And and then what happens, and they're all pissed. To be fair to them, though, there's more Bryan Cranston in this movie than there is a Godzilla. the the conceit here that the you'll see it, but it's like also this is the slowest gas cloud you ever saw. And if she wasn't so damn selfless, she might have survived. Oh, do it, Brian. Yeah, it might be time to shut the damn door, Joe. Also, I don't know if radiation, if the cloud is radioactive or if. And plus, how fast is this door? That's a very fast door. All right, here also. Do you really want your husband? I'm of two minds on this. If you guys had run track in high school instead of going to physics classes, you might have survived this. I like how the secondary doors are dramatically late and slow. The first door is like, these doors are like, say goodbye, say goodbye. Now, also, does his son speak fluent Japanese? I guess that's possible. Although he doesn't listen very well. Ironically, this kid emotes better than Kick-Ass does. 15 years later. My god. Like, Bryan Cranston is manic. Yeah, not in 2 seconds. In your wife that you haven't seen in months. Now, yes, the kid made the sign. So, night one, it's very homely. Dad, why am I named MacGuffin? By the way, they probably would have already had sex twice before he's telling her this story. Yeah, Kick-Ass is probably 20 here, and she's probably 28. Yeah, bite that thumb. Yes, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are getting busy. By the way, it's a landline, even in 2014. It's the cock blocker. So all this is exposition. It's a little clunky. Yeah, 15 years ago to boot. Yeah, okay. Look, your plane doesn't leave for 4 hours. We can fuck like 6 times. Like this, there's a lot of very forced, like, care about these people. And if the consulate called him, I would think the consulate would also arrange for a release. Like, I don't know why the son would come to pick him up. Especially if he's an American citizen. Oh, hell, maybe he was a Japanese citizen, but an American trespassing on a Japanese disaster site? This seems much more like a government issue than a, hey, come pick up your dad, kid. I would have to assume he was a Japanese citizen. A crazy Japanese citizen. Yeah, fired my decorator. Also, if you know anything about Japanese English teachers in Japan, they cycle out every couple of years. Yeah, the whole conceit that somebody's so busy with their shit they don't know how old their grandchild is. Dad, shut up. You're crazy. Get used to seeing this expression on Kickcast because it's the one he's got. Again, they're trying to pull on heartstrings that just haven't earned it yet. I am home. I would think he already had his plane ticket booked. He's talking to the Japanese equivalent of Alex Jones, Alex Jones son. Don't look at me like that. You remember what I used to walk in on you doing? 6 years. There's a picture of Sarazawa there, and they call him an acoustics expert. So the conceit here is that the Muto ran to the nearest nucleus feeding source and then fed for 15 years and got really big. And he needs his old discs, even though there's probably nothing that can read it. And I don't know if you've ever tried to retrieve information off a disk that's been sitting there for 10 years. It wasn't the most reliable source of media preservation. No, technically, that was her job. I always like this soundtrack, by the way. It's not anywhere near as good as King of the Monsters soundtrack, but it's pretty good. I just love that you can motorboat into a nuclear quarantine zone. And, like, this is Monarch has this huge facility, this secret facility, and they can't hear a motorboat coming into the city. Those dogs would have eaten these motherfuckers alive. I also love the homemade radiation suit that Ford just assumes is safe. Oh, love the smell of radiation in the morning. Okay, we're gonna see a weird Easter egg that proves that they didn't know what the hell they were doing with this as a franchise in a second. Because in this universe, Mothra's already been discovered. Mothra was the first kaiju to be discovered because that's why they're called Monarch. And it was in the 50s, but even pre-Godzilla. So, it's a very it's a weird Easter egg, especially because this movie does not have a lot of Easter eggs. I'm half expecting him to boot this computer up if it worked perfectly. Hey, back before she shaved her head. Ironically, they made the wife shave her head, but Bryan Cranston had to wear a wig. Remember that? Huh? Huh? I do like the look of the town. It has a very, I don't know if you've seen footage of Chernobyl, but it has that kind of feel to it. This isn't so remote, by the way, that they could keep this a fucking secret. It is surrounded on all sides by mountains. By the way, Joe and these people should be on first name basis by now with how many times he gets arrested breaking in here. And this time, instead of taking him outside the quarantine zone, they bring him to the plant. I don't know if it's because he's that much closer this time. I just don't know. No, King of the Monsters are like 2.5 hours long. We're just doing this. I gotta get up early tomorrow. This is gonna take us till midnight. This one's 2 hours long. Doing King of the Monsters next Sunday. 10 seconds to what? Oh yeah. Also, the really big conceit that any creature would ever be born with the ability to emit an electromagnetic pulse like this. Like a lot of Godzilla's design and the Muda's design is really like practical and nature. When we finally see Godzilla, we'll get into his design. But the EMP pulse is just EMP pulse. That's like RIP in peace. The EMP is a real conceit. Bryan Cranston's earning his paycheck in this scene. Why would you have a storage room full of cleaning stuff have a two-way mirror? Everybody always insists to be talking to higher ups. Why do they continue to send low-level guys? It's Bigfoot. Okay, first off, radiation killed your wife, buddy. You practically watched it happen. I love how they didn't check. Oh God, please don't say Transformer. Michael Bay shows up. Yeah, that was a trailer moment. Everybody assumed it was because the monsters would destroy everything. No, it's because they have an EMP. According to the director, the reshoots are just standard reshoots. Um, I don't know. The director seems very pleased with Kong versus Godzilla. We'll see. They always shut down an hour too late. I mean, Kong versus Godzilla in November, like mm, King of the Monsters was suffered from Avengers Endgame backlash. Although I don't know if anybody could have predicted, just how massive that movie was going to be. But nobody went to the movies for months. It killed. It didn't just kill King of the Monsters. It killed a lot of movies. I love the conceit here that he thinks they can kill it. Although I guess at this point the only kaiju they've seen out in the wild are probably King Kong and the Skull Crawlers. Even Mothra's still a, egg at this point. Also, a creature that emits electromagnetic pulses probably not going to be too bugged by an electric charge assault. Like Monarch seems completely inept in how they handle this situation. And we have a Mudo. And yes, the EMP helps because you can never get any direct light on the creatures. And that is a conceit in Godzilla King of the Monsters too, because you almost never see them in direct light. It's always snowing or raining or whatever. In this movie, it's all dark. The same reason, ironically, it is always raining in Godzilla 98. Old Muto here has a lot of design conceits that make it very similar to Cloverfield. The fact that it walks on a clawed hand like that, that has little arms on its belly. And this is the female, I believe. It's very Cloverfield. Or is this the male? Is this the one with the wings? I don't even remember. It has been a long time since I've seen this movie. You're really gonna stand under all that scaffolding, guys? Brian Grant is the only one that don't run under the scaffolding, stupid. Oh, and here we get the first instance of Ford being fucking invulnerable. Ford has the biggest plot armor. There, yeah. Yeah, you better just. One thing this movie does very well is scale. Although, of course, people are getting stomped on. Like, every step it takes gets one guy. I don't understand why he puts on the mask. It's probably just so they can get a weird POV shot. All right, this is the male because it has wings. Also, because it's a POV shot through plastic, you can't really see it too well. Mommy, I pooped myself. By the way, that was 35 minutes before we even see our first kaiju. The one thing I will concede in this movie, it is way bloated with not enough kaiju. No, nobody does. Just Sally Richardson. There are literally 50 people over there, so you have to be more specific. Like, seriously, you could probably edit this down about a half an hour and get a pretty damn good movie. Right now, all the Breaking Bad fans are sitting in the theater going, what the fuck? What the fuck? The other thing about his early exit from this film is it takes all the character out of this movie. And the trailers did not. It's funny, people complain about the trailers giving away too much, but the trailer. This is worse than Steven Seagal dying in Air Force One. Great. The one they needed died. Now we're left with their stupid son. The other weird conceit that they don't give in the new one, according to Monarch's files, they've identified a bunch of these monsters, but these are the first ones they call like Mudo because they're unidentified because they didn't bother naming it for 15 years. Mm. It's an 800-foot bug. What do you need? You know, I don't think he means that. Also, Sally Richardson's character in here calls him Sensei and stuff. Um, but in King of the Monsters, it's kind of implied that they had a thing. Like maybe she called him Sensei in bed. There goes the last shred of good actor in this film. That's of course a lie. His name is Ford Brody. You might as well call him America McAmerican. I love that they're using like old footage. No, they've seen Godzilla 85. This is also a weird conceit that Godzilla can absorb radiation, which is a throwback to the old days, but yeah. Now it is interesting that Monarch in Kong on Skull Island is going broke in the 70s. Attaboy Ken. Okay. 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 Yeah, really. Well, we had a cocoon. We never broke it open. Good job. They were studying its biology so much they know shit about it. Why doesn't he send them to his fucking apartment in Japan where he had all that shit on the walls? Mm. Remember that one book he happened to notice in the apartment? Sorry, I'm actually listening. Oh, here he goes. So basically, Dr. Sarazawa's plan is to let the Muto run around until Godzilla notices. Old Ford here has the Cloverfield problem as well that everywhere he goes, monsters show up. It's uncanny. But Dad was right. Giant monster. Yada yada yada. I'm on my way home. Now, You would think between Japan and Hawaii there would be at least one nuclear submarine for this thing to eat. And again, they make no concession where this Muto has been hiding. Okay, this whole section is weird too. Kid actually never had a G.I. Joe before. What? I don't even know how it, like I don't know how trams work in Japan in Honolulu. Now, why would he bring them back? Why wouldn't he just wait for the parents to take the next train? Also, he has a plane to catch. Why doesn't he alert security? Like this little subplot is so fucking unnecessary. Like there's no heightened self-awareness in this movie. Like everybody has to have a reason for doing stuff other than personal, like wanting to live. That shot, I believe, is a little jab at Godzilla '98. Okay, so this is a Russian nuclear submarine in okay. And that is Mudokam. Now you'd think that the helicopters could have spotted that from the air. Okay, let's just accept this pretense that these creatures eat radiation. Where the fuck were they eating? Like, what radiation were they eating before, like, in the past? Or is it just our refined radiation that's so goddamn tasty they can't get enough? And again, the EMP is just an excuse not to have to film a very expensive airplanes and helicopters fighting a winged monster. Let's just nip that shit in the bud and cut about 30 million out of our budget. Done. Also, there's a nuclear submarine in the trees outside this resort. Don't you think somebody should have told them to get the fuck out? I'm also not sure. Were they expecting the thing to come into the city? That was a missile. And like against a living creature, a predator, this EMP attack is worthless. It's only good against technology. It's such a weird conceit. Also, I'm not sure that's how EMPs work. I don't think the lights just come back on. Also, when you see what's about to happen, this girl is so dead. Also, while we're on the scientific gaps of the film, a tsunami happens. Like the beach is, the water moves away from there because the wave itself is drawing water up into its crest. When something's moving through the water, it should surge. Either way, Godzilla's mass is still way too far away from that beach to displace anything. That's still a pretty cool shot. Okay, and all I think about in this with the dog is the Independence Day dog who leaps into a cinder block bunker for to get away from a firestorm. And like I get it, Gareth Edwards is much more concerned with these creatures' effect on the world around them, like our world, rather than just straight up kaiju fights for the most part. Again, though, Godzilla does not have enough mass to displace this much water. It's an interesting shot and an interesting premise. Not very believable. Also, all these things are the lights are working after the EMP. Also, no booming footsteps. And that is a carbon copy of Godzilla's first appearance in '98, where the tail goes around the building. Yeah, it was way more than 10 seconds forward. Yeah, get in the next car. This water traveled 8.5 miles. Now, again, though, this is a good shot. When you're doing your kaiju movie, you want to keep your camera at a human level. So, like, Shin Godzilla does a really good job of that. This is a very good shot. It's explosion, orgy, and reveal of your kaiju. All right. We're going to let this scene play out because it's fucking awesome. Yeah, that got a standing ovation when I saw this movie on opening night. Let's talk Godzilla's design a little while we're here. And then we'll address this elephant in the room. His feet are like elephant feet, and his arms are like kind of in front of his body. He's like a massive land mammal. All right. Gareth Edwards deserves a little shit for this. That this fight is relegated to footage on a TV. That's a cock tease. It's one dinosaur and one bug, kid. Um, so Godzilla's design is very practical. If a giant terrestrial land animal was to exist, it would have elephant-like feet, and it would be built like an ursine, massive land predator. And that's one of the problems with this movie is they try to get Godzilla to exist within our world rather than letting him exist within his own, like King of the Monsters does. King of the Monsters knows it's insane. It doesn't even make a pretense at sanity. And Ford, after watching this kid for days, just lets him run away. You could cut that entire subplot out and not lose a fucking thing. It does nothing for his character. He's already a father. We know he has an affinity for kids. And somewhere in a Capcom boardroom, everyone went, there's an IP we haven't used in a while. I do love the fact that, for the most part in this movie, Godzilla gives zero shits about humanity. You know what this means? Kaiju sex. Okay. Again, why would you store this thing next to a nuclear facility, like where all the nuclear waste was, and nobody noticed the rads going down for 15 years? There's a lot of weird MacGuffins in this movie. This is silly, by the way. Especially when you see the one. The male is about half the size of the female. Why was this vault this fucking big? And how did this thing escape without nobody noticing? How did it get that big? Did they just dump their nuclear waste in here and say, okay? uh, God. There would be a riot in Vegas. Huh? It's not that wide. Oh no, it tore down the fake Eiffel Tower. um, it's funny. Back when Legendary was owned by Warner Brothers, it wouldn't have been a problem. Now it would be a problem. Plus, you'd have to get the license from Toho, technically. Although NECA has the rights, so I'm sure it isn't that hard to get. And these things eat radiation, and Godzilla. It didn't work against Godzilla. Okay, this plan is fucking stupid. Also, don't you think you should ask the president about this? This is proof that I am a state alchemist. Pretty impressive that still exists. And once again, the monsters fuck Ford, because why not? Excuse me. Okay, but the fact that old Ford here is the only one who knows how to arm this thing because it's analog is such a stretch. And most guys his age can't even tell time on an analog watch. So your conceit is that you should be on this mission, but the second it gets to San Fran, you're abandoning. Oh my god, that kid is way too much like the kid in The Shining, the ABC miniseries The Shining. Where have you been? Also, 2014, payphones still exist? Okay. Yeah, they're gonna launch a nuclear weapon in the bay, so stay there. Seacrest out. And again, I don't understand if if one missile is enough bait. What about all the other missiles where this one came from? Like, I do like that news graphic of the monster. That is dead on. Again, we get a lot of destruction shots without the monsters actually doing the destroying. That's Gareth Edwards for you. How the fuck do they not know where these things are? They're huge. No, not by you. Look at that model. Like how much of and I love movies that think that you just blow up a nuclear bomb and shit's okay in like an hour. We're talking decades of fallout, depending on prevailing winds. Where the shit that fallout comes goes. Is this something we should be hooking up at night in the dark on a moving train? Don't you think somebody should have radioed the train to tell them that there's a monster on their route? Oh God, it burns! It burns! Well, you know it's too big to fit in the tunnel. Yes, the train route. Of course, it has to go over a giant bridge with a nuclear weapon. Jackass. I'm a lot better than the driver of that tank. Uh-oh, that's the I'm fucked whistle. um, how does he know? They walked across. All right, again, Mutos are fucking stealth monsters in this movie. I mean, come on, really? There's a lot of there's a lot of cool shots in this movie that make zero sense. It's calling dolphins. Again, I don't have a problem with the Mutos. I think they're fine. I just don't think they're very interesting. Obviously, these boys have never seen Stand By Me. And of course, it's dark and they're dressed the same, so you don't have any idea which one jumped in the water. So he has to say forward, but then you're like, okay. It's about this time them Duke boys knew they was in a heap of trouble. Call Evanescence. It's going under. I do love that when Godzilla gets a scent, it's just like peace out, humans. And you don't think in all this time they would have put a tracking device on him? For fuck's sake, they track sharks. Why couldn't they just throw a fucking tag in his dorsal fins? Ironically, there's a wolf here because this guy has plot armor like Jon Snow. Also, I guess the Muto ate the material, but left the warhead? I don't even know. Um, he's a dirt cake at the moment. Now, yes, we are an hour and 20 minutes in this movie, and there ain't much Godzilla in it yet. Alright, I still don't get it. Why would the Mutos have eaten the part that didn't have nuclear waste in it? I don't get it. Unless it's a new missile? I am confused. Yeah, you just found the one bus that your friend is on. That kid took acting lessons from Daddy. Okay. I'm your new mommy. Bye bye forever, mommy. Like, there's almost no reason for them to have a kid. The kid has no bearing on what happens. Again, this movie needed to be stripped down a little. Also, this fucker's been dirty for like a day and a half. Sir, why are you off the boat? Also, there's no reason for him to call the creature Godzilla as opposed to Godzilla. Dun dun dun. Even in a kaiju situation, people are gonna honk their fucking horns in traffic. It's a typical bus trip. What I don't know is they're kind of pointing their shit at Godzilla at this point. Oh, is Facebook still open? That's stupid. You'll notice it's raining again. Godzilla's never seen the sun. We don't even know what the fuck this is, sir. I do love this, like, just his tail. And also, he seems to give zero shits about that ship for some reason. And they just immediately start firing with civilians on the bridge. And this guy just panics. Get out of the way! Godzilla inadvertently saves thousands. Point blank range to the belly, ain't doing shit. This dummy. Yeah, those are terrible noises. You have a perfect opportunity to let out that iconic roar. Yeah, like that. Military loves to prepare to do stuff. Spaceballs got that very right. Wait, I thought they couldn't do this without Ford. And why do they only have an hour and a half time limit? Now, it was on the news, that whole sphere of influence thing they showed on the news. So I don't know why this is a surprise to anyone. Again, the whole EMP thing is just, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if jets were just raining out of the sky inexplicably? That way we don't have to film the monsters actually batting them around. That's a pretty cool shot. Oh, that's why Ford wasn't on that boat. Plot armor. It's interesting though, they are insectoid, but those wings are definitely glider wings, reptilian wings. Madam, I've come a courting. Now, it is interesting that it is a male and a female, and this is the first time they're physically meeting, yet she has got multiple buns in the oven. So I don't get how this whole reproductive system works. Really? I'm Lieutenant Plot Armor. Sir, are you regretting this decision? That's a curiously optimistic view. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you talking to me? Put your head between your knees and kiss your ass goodbye. can I can I get out of this job? I'm that big of a military man. Uh-oh, we're getting to meme territory. Sure, when his plan's fucked up, he comes around. History proves again and again that nature makes strife as a spouse of man. Let them fight. This clown is still in his office building. After all these people, evacuation orders, EMP, they got no power. Get to the fucking stairs, you knobs. Yeah, get underground. There's a lot of staring in this movie. It's very Jurassic Park in that way. And yet again, close the doors on the monster fight. I mean, look, there's teasing, and then there's come on. And for the record, I like this movie, but I absolutely concede it has a lot of problems. There's also a lot of analog pictures in this movie. It's like Ford never even heard of a cell phone in 2014. Now, this sequence was the first teaser trailer for this movie, and it's a good one. I was very happy with this because it's visually impressive. It does things that you don't see in monster movies very much, and it's just a really good scene. Even the music is very wee ha wee yo. But just the smoke trails. It's yet another Ford POV shot at some points, but this is a really, really good, dynamic, visually interesting scene. Sequence, I should say. That's a pretty good shot. And here's another Ford POV shot. So, all right. POV shot, darkness, lightning. Yeah, okay. And he got that close to the monster. Again, Gareth Edwards, for some reason, thinks that this parachute guy is that much more interesting than the giant monsters that are fighting in the city, and it's just not the case. I don't mind focusing on the human drama. It's got to be even, though. Why would you have snipers on the rooftop? What the fuck good are they going to do? The oboe music is a bit of an odd choice. Or not the oboe, the woo. Now, mind you, again, there are two giant monsters fighting somewhere around here. I love how it sounds like popcorn popping or something. And I think that's insinuating that she's dropping eggs. Yeah. That's disgusting. Again, there is no reason for a creature the size of Godzilla to worry about humans. Hey, do you mind? I am trying to drop a load of babies here. And mind you, this means that Godzilla incapacitated the male Muto. Probably in spectacular fashion off screen. Oh my god, we actually saw a monster fight for 2 seconds. Yeah, it's a hole. That's what they told you to look for. That's a weird cut too. Like it's just a weird cut. Boy, being an egg in the upper part would suck because you know those greedy bastards at the tip are just going to be eating all the fucking nuclear energy. Also, it's like done in weird lines up, up the ceiling and shit. 27 mics. Yeah, Muto, you're going to realize very quickly that human design and construction is not going to hold you. He stomps on his chest. Next time you think you killed a Muto Godzilla, be sure to finish the job. To be fair, the Mutos do fuck Godzilla up. Take my helmet off for the money shot. Everybody grabbed a warhead. Good to see Brooklyn represented. He's the only one that knows. Insurance rates are going to go through the roof. Although we see in King of the Monsters that they don't even really fix San Francisco up. There are plenty of things on fire down here to ignite this. Like right there. Man, that plot armor is something. So yes, the human saves Godzilla. Which happens quite often in these movies, frankly. Fuck, I just laid these things. Oh, dead this. Of course he hits a glass. Come on. I don't think that he would have heard that. This is very cool though. My only problem with this is that it isn't forceful looking enough. Like King of the Monsters Fire Blast is fucking gorgeous. This looks like bad breath. It barely does anything. Why he hasn't used that yet, we'll never know. Godzilla always holds on to the fire breath for some reason. Again, these guys still have the warhead, just in case you didn't know. Yes, let's get this thing started. Now, it is far beyond my meager knowledge that you could jumpstart something that got EMP'd, but I don't think you could. Now, see, if this Muto had gone back to Godzilla, they might have still won this. Which again begs the question, is the male even necessary for reproduction with a Muto? Oh. This is pretty good. Even I have to admit. Muto goes splat. He's tired. And then the building falls on him. Could you make a building that can withstand that? This is worse than when I got Thanos snapped. I hate Mondays. Ugh. We almost saw him for a second, but no, smoke. Oh dear. Who is hitting in the face with rockets? Oh, that's Team B. Thank you, Team B. Your sacrifice will never be forgotten. Oh, and just because they got it started before. Ford, they're dying so you can get this thing the fuck out of here. Hey Ford, you put it on auto. Why don't you jump off the boat? He shares a lot of long, loving stares with kaiju in this movie. Again, stealth Godzilla. You couldn't hear the thunderous footsteps. This gets like this sequence is so fucking awesome. Except that his fire breath is not that impressive. Still, third standing ovation when I saw this in the theaters. Oh, and of course all the lights come back on now because again I don't see why he has to be on this boat. I know he's tired. My plot armor's almost used up. Really, just 5 minutes left. You don't really feel like getting out of off the ground and maybe trying to make a break for safety. Remember that wife and the kid that you wanted to get back to? But wait, there's still a tiny speck of plot armor left. Go away, I want to sleep. You get up there, kid. I'll steer this ship into oblivion for you. You're a national hero, kid. You'll never be in this franchise again. Also, when a nuclear bomb goes off, it also releases an EMP, which would have knocked that helicopter right the fuck out the sky. Hey, Bob, you find this thing's ass? I also don't understand why he's like half under debris. Also, he just finds his son. Those rescues are going to be few and far between. They're really dragging this out. Oh, poopy. Sam, I don't. Oh, fuck it. Go away. I don't care anymore. Again, they want you to feel something at this, and yeah, I don't. Even him, all these characters are paper thin. She could have been crushed underfoot, and I wouldn't have batted an eye. No. And again, you didn't need the kid for this. Like, oh, sure, they're cheering now. All right, I'm taking 5 years off. My cousin Shin Godzilla is going to be around in a couple years. By the way, all the birds were fleeing him on his way in. He's going to go take a secret tunnel to his lair and absorb some radiation and mutate into a slightly less goofy looking monster next time. Yep, that's Godzilla 2014. Uneven is the word I would use. It's not bad. I don't think it's bad. It has pacing issues. I don't give a shit about dumb plot because that's a Godzilla movie. But yeah, it needs this thing needs an edit, and it needed a rewrite super bad because it's just it's not cohesive. It needs streamlining super hard. You know, you could have eliminated the kid. You could have kept Bryan Cranston around for another 15 minutes if you cut it down to an hour and a half runtime. You could have gotten a. That's it. You could have gotten better actors for your leads, at least more charismatic. This guy is constantly saying how much he needs to get home to his family, and he's got the disposition of a dishwasher. You know, Ken Watanabe's fine. Sally Richardson's fine. You know, most of the Army guys are doing what they do. It's very confusing about the Muto's life cycle. Like, they were born of spores, so I guess they don't need to fuck to reproduce, but then why do they have a male and a female? But, like, this came out pretty close after Pacific Rim, and Pacific Rim was such a fucking fun, goddamn giant monster movie. And it's like, oh, they're making Godzilla, and, you know, Pacific Rim made a lot of money, so they're going to use that. No, no, no. It's going to be a 2 hour movie where an hour and 45 minutes of it are human stuff, and it's just not what people wanted. To me, the money shots make up for the rest of it. I can certainly concede that other people who aren't as obsessed with Godzilla wouldn't get it. I did play the classic PS4 Godzilla game on my channel, and it's terrible. I liked it for the first half hour until I realized, holy shit, this is the entire game. Godzilla is heading toward the energy tower, or whatever the fuck that thing is. It's funny that comes up in my yeah, in my suggested videos every once in a while, and I'm like, I fucking made that. Do you know how expensive that fucking Godzilla game is? It's goddamn awful. It's a port of a PS3 game, first off. Not even an up-resed one. It's not like Last of Us, where they actually took the old game and made it pretty. All they did was port the PS3 game, and it's terrible. The NES game is better. You know what? It's amazing. I forget who said this, but it's very true that especially now, and even Marvel movies really fall prey to this. They farm out the VFX to so many different like FX houses. The Hobbit had this problem too. Not the Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings was all done in house in Weta, I'm pretty sure. But you get so many animation studios working independently of each other that it's hard for a director to have any kind of vision for FX shots. They kind of just come in and get slapped together, and it's hard for a director to have a vision in a giant movie like this. This one's pretty good. Hell, I'm surprised that my Godzilla video didn't get fucking blocked. Like well, the PS4 is infamous for blocking. Oh, it did. That's right. The final credits of that Godzilla game were blocked because I was streaming straight from the PS4. And it was using footage from the movies, and for some reason they blocked it. They do that all the time. Berserk did that. The ending of Berserk, they fucking blocked, and the ending of Jesus Christ, the entire last level of Catherine Full Body I couldn't stream. Yeah, and it is funny that all of these games that are so expensive to find are terrible. Although what Onecham Bara is just a bikini girl zombie killing game, right? I think. But we digress. Yeah, this is Godzilla 2014. Now, mind you, this was also the first Godzilla property since was it 2004? So this was 10 years after the last Toho Godzilla movie. We were pretty thirsty. Lately, it's been pretty cool. We got this, then we got Shin in 2016, then we got the terrible animes, then we get Kong, Skull Island, and Kong versus Godzilla coming out this year. It's been pretty good. Pretty good time to be a kaiju fan. Plus Pacific Rim. The second Pacific Rim is not great. Might do those back to back one night. That would be fun. But yeah, that's Godzilla 2014, everybody. Ta-da! So next week will be Godzilla King of the Monsters on Sunday night, 10 o'clock. If you want to have that movie and you want to stream it, we'll be doing it. So that's it for me. It's after 12. We got to get to bed. I hope you enjoyed this. And we'll see you next time. We'll stream something midweek before we go back to Final Fantasy. We might even start Final Fantasy in the middle of the week. We'll see. But that's it for me. Thank you for watching, everybody. Appreciate it as always. Thomas10273 on Twitch and Twitter. MST3KNJ on YouTube. And we'll see you next time. Peace.